I'd call the council meeting to order tonight. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Brian Herring. Present. Mary Jean Krieger.
Present.
Mitch Magnus.
Present.
Johnny Savage. Present. Brian Oswald. Bill Boswell.
Present.
Joel Williams.
Present.
And Dana Taylor.
Present.
You have four.
I think
Yeah.
Brian is a little bit late. This time I please would ask everybody to stand and bring Brian Herring to lead us in the prayer, and please remain standing for the pledge.
Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come again, Lord, and we just pray that you would direct this council, and Lord, help us to follow after your steps. Lord, help us to seek after your wisdom in everything we do, and we give you all the glory and the honor this evening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We have a Boy Scout troop with us tonight. Would y'all want to lead us in our pledge?
Come on. Go ahead. Somebody step up and lead. Jacob, come on. Go on. Go on up there, Jacob. You know how to do it.
Right in the middle, son.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Bill, where's the hoorah? Hoorah! There we go. Now we can start.
Okay, I hope you have before you, there's 2 minutes, September 21st record council meeting and October 15th special call council meeting. And I would ask you, please read that one very carefully. And I will entertain a motion for approval. I think we need to approve these separately.
Make a motion to approve these minutes of September 24th.
I have a motion and a second to approve the September 24th. That's a regular council meeting. Any discussion on that? All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Carried.
Need a motion for the...
Entertain a motion to approve the September 15th.
So moved.
Excuse me, October 15th.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Motion carried. Okay, we'll move into department reports. Anybody other than Luke over there have anything you want to say?
We'd like to thank y'all for breakfast. Very good.
We had a good turnout in the First Christian Church out. They furnished the goodie bag and the donuts. And we had a perpetual care meeting, and it was attended by several of the ladies from the 20th Century Club. There'll be another meeting later in the next time.
Hey, Luke, I guess you got a few things.
Thanks again. Thank you all. Thanks for using the Christian Church pen and stuff. Really the biggest thing to point out on the general fund, you'll see there the surplus. I don't know if everybody got a copy of their financial statements. I do have a few copies if you didn't. I think there's two there. Sorry, I didn't put that one up. Anybody
Luke to brag about it, he did it, so, for the employees, everybody else worked for the city, but I wanna brag about that. I wanted to brag about this one.
I didn't have a Chinese account.
Financial statements. Okay. If you'll go to the general fund, that's what everybody wants to hear about anyways. You'll see there is a surplus, all $1,140 of it. However, that does include the $90,000 expense for the retirement for the police department from back, whenever they were charging us from back in 1994. So that is all paid up and good, and that still leaves us with a total surplus, and we're $120,000 almost to the penny over where we were at this time last year. And hopefully, we will be even better after next month with our property taxes. That's our anticipation. I don't foresee anything else big, or I won't promise you that either. And I apologize, you just probably got them either last night or when you got them, but we had some little trouble getting credit card expenses in there this month, but we did get them all in there, and so everything's kind of looking better than what we had anticipated. That's always a good sign. You can see in the water and sewer fund, we're even more ahead of schedule as well on that part. So as long as you don't take into consideration that $2 million project. But if you guys have any questions, entertain them, and also feel free at any point in time to email me.
I've got a few, but I'm only about halfway through it, so I'll probably get with you Monday or Tuesday.
I did find that we had a couple, you'll see the police expenditure wasn't in this month, and we had a couple others that were actually backdated to August, and so that's why you might have a little bit of a discrepancy, because I did notice a few of those bigger items that were back in August that weren't on the August financial statements, because we didn't get the invoice until then. Got nothing else. I think I'm on the agenda later too.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on down to the committee reports. Joe, do you have anything you want to bring up? Okay, bids, Mr. Magnus.
Yeah, we're at budget. So I guess we'll start. The committee met Monday, and we had a discussion that primarily centered around two things: the deficit that we're showing, and one of the drivers being insurance costs. And we had decided on a few things to bring to council as a group, but the insurance portion, I guess we need to clarify, because we had voted to which provider to vote on, but now we've got some more information. Luke did let me know our experience rating last year was 1.2. This year it was 1.0. We had some additional claims that ended up coming in, which is going to bring that amount to 1.08. So we're still paying out more. The insurance company's paying more than what we're paying in premium. We had pretty much narrowed it down to Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare, and I'll let the mayor speak to it. I guess we've got an issue with the Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Well, we found out this afternoon that Blue Cross Blue Shield is in-state coverage only. That's the way they said it. Of course, if you go out and have an accident or something happens, they still have to pay, but if you get referred out of state, it's going to be on you.
If you get a referral to Cox or Mercy in Springfield, it's on you.
Yes.
That's not good.
So we're going back. We actually got 3 quotes today on different types of insurance. But hopefully by Monday or Tuesday, we can get back with y'all and make a decision on something else.
We just found out about this at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah.
I haven't even had a chance to tell the department heads about it.
Yep.
That surprises me of being Blue Cross Blue Shield.
That's what I was thinking.
Because-
National insurance company,
When
and
did
they
they
can't.
change their guidelines?
So it's that particular
Plan.
plan. And we just happened to have another insurance guy in here, and he's like, I know that exact plan you're talking about, and yes, it is only in state.
Well, that's the reason we weren't interested in municipal league plans, for that very reason, so I mean, it's a deal breaker.
I agree, and when she told me, I said, we really needed to know this,
Should have known
2 weeks
up front.
ago.
We
Yeah,
should have known.
this should have been, first of all, this shouldn't have even been quoted, because it's not an option at this point. I don't feel that it's an option being a border town. But
Not this part of the state.
But, we'll get back with you on that. I'm sorry it happened. The insurance right now, the way things are going, is not something that we all like to fool with, I'm gonna say, but we want to get the best policy and not the cheapest policy, but the best policy for our money. And where we're not really putting it over on our employees so much.
What was the second greatest one that y'all were looking for? when Y'all got the insurance program?
United is
The renewal.
Renewal.
basically renewing what we currently have.
But if you want, I can bring up some figures to you, I don't know, you may have gotten them, but if you looked at the budget, we were sitting at about, $52,000 deficit. And if we went with Blue Cross Blue Shield, it would raise our deficit to $56,000. The renewal with United, the last one here, I'll quote something wrong, I'm sure it will.
it's 58.
58,000. So there's not a lot of difference, a couple $1,000 difference there. But everybody, the census within the city employees was Blue Cross Blue Shield. And that's more or less where we stood. But like I say, we have some other options on the table now, and we'll look at those and we'll get back with you. I'm sorry, like I said, I'm sorry this happened, but we want to look over everything we're doing.
Can we, this is going to be a HIPAA issue too, with that in mind and trying to make sure we make a good decision here, can we see how much on our current policy actually went out of state without violating HIPAA laws? We don't need to know who,
We can
what, or
get
why.
numbers.
You see,
Yes, we can get dollars.
I mean, is it worth, follow what I'm saying is, I mean, I realize people go to Springfield, they go to Branson, they prefer medical care at Branson, I understand that. I'd be curious to see how much is actually,
I'm pretty sure we can get
okay, and we can't violate HIPAA laws, I understand that, but, most of our doctors refer us now to Fayetteville or Springfield, so. Tough call.
If anybody has any other ideas on health insurance, I'd gladly entertain them at this point.
This came as a shock, obviously, to everybody. And it's,
Especially after that meeting.
yeah. But I mean, it's just something that we're gonna have to deal with. And again, we're gonna have to find some way of lowering that experience rating in the future, and it's gonna keep the cycle going. So I know that the mayor's talked in regard to that, different options that we may have for additional benefits from area health providers, but it's got to be, something will have to be done, or we just won't be able to sustain this.
Do we have a local agent for United Healthcare? I mean, in Harrison?
It's in Springdale, is it not?
Currently,
No, when I say local, I'm talking about in Harrison.
none on United. We do have Blue Cross Blue Shield.
I know you can't do it.
The only other thing, unless somebody's got a question on the budget, I would express to the council to look through your prelim budget and see if you can help with any suggestions, questions that might help us get to, again, a surplus number. So I've driven that point home that, you know, this council is, one of our fiscal goals is to be in a surplus budget regardless of what actuals are. It's good news to be at, you know, a positive right now, but we'd like to see that. So if you look at the prelim budget and have any questions that we can talk to the mayor and Luke about, we sure need to do that.
During your meeting this past week, did you have any concerns that you didn't figure out that you're still uncomfortable with, or?
You know, there's always going to be stuff before and after. There's discussion with pay rates and all, and that's one of the things that I think that's more of an HR question. But I think we do need to look at that at some point. But right now, not to sound single-minded, but it was focused on this budget. I don't know that there was anything. The insurance was a driver during that meeting, kind of overtook it.
Yeah. I can't imagine why.
And I think at one time, we were looking at the possibility of a $41,000 or $47,000 deficit at one point.
Yeah.
If we were at 15% or 20, 25, whatever.
I thought we figured it at 25.
We
I think
figured in 25.
Right.
We're down to 47,000.
Yeah, 47,000.
Yeah, and then we got hit with a rollover on, well,
Turned
state
up.
street turnback fund
Right.
has changed. So that is with about another, what, 7.5 or something like that.
And again, from a statistical perspective, we are essentially at a balanced budget over the, you know, an $18 million budget, $6 million of the general fund, but still, we want to be able to report that. So. The only other item in finances, to move funds, we needed to vote to move the funds from one category to another for the purchase of the radios. We discussed that. And Luke, do you remember what category we were coming from and to?
Yeah, I've got it.
It's from dispatch to radio equipment.
Yeah, it's 02-11-2241.
And essentially, as a reminder, all we're doing is moving $12,000 expenditure from one line item to another.
Dispatch.
It's from 02-11-2241 to 02-11-2216. And that's from dispatch to radios.
Yeah. And I think we're all in favor of it. I think the questions we had, I'm not sure we all had them answered. I think Marvin was going to look into some more. Was that the best we could get? We just didn't, I know you were trying to get so many for the cost. We just didn't want to get cheap radios. We wanted to make sure we got what we needed.
Yeah, well, the cheapest ones was $2,900 for the AWIM.
Yeah.
That's the cheapest one we could come up with.
Yeah, and that's what I think we're talking. We mentioned the cheaper last time.
Yeah.
We just didn't want you to feel like we had to go to the bottom end.
We don't know how well they're gonna last. The next one's up at $4,500.
I think that was the discussion we talked about last time.
How many A-wings do we get now, Marvin?
Yes, we're talking about going for 2 on this, 2 AWINs, and then we're gonna get 10 of just our department radios, our handheld. Is what it was. So for, another $3,000 somewhere in there, we'd probably get the mid-grade $4,500 one, which would probably be better radios. We don't know, on that.
Well, I think we're all in favor of getting the radios. I think we just want to make sure you got what you really needed for the long haul, not just bottomed it out just because it was.
I was just trying to be, as we talked about earlier, I was just trying to be conservative on the A-wins,
Yeah.
because they are expensive.
Is that what we currently have in operation? Is it the same brand that we currently have?
I believe that's right. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe that's right. The Motorola's is what we're. We talked about the cheaper ones was a different Icon, I believe it was. Was a different one, was a brand name Icon. So it was a different one.
Okay.
Are you, again, I asked that question before, are you satisfied with just 2 A-wings though? I mean, you've never dealt with these things, they're a pretty phenomenal little system, so.
I mean, we talked about it earlier, I think we went with, even if we went with the mid-grade one, the $4,500 one, we got 2 this year. And then maybe we could get maybe 2 more next year and see how they work and everything. We've got, right now, we have got 2 mobiles that's in our vehicle and 1 handheld. And we feel like we may need, in an emergency, we might need more handhelds than just 1. You know, and we use these radios some too when we go to Mountain Judy or Boxley or places like that where our radios don't reach back, we can still use our radios.
Well, I'm in favor, and I'll be happy to move the money. But I don't, when you purchase it, it's in your discretion. I don't want you to feel like you have to bottom out by any means. I want you to get what's going to last for long, a good radio.
We'll have to change the amount from 12 to 15 if we're going to go with different radios.
Yes, I mean, they're expensive, and I was just trying to,
I understand.
you know, be conservative, you know, so, I can talk around more and ask more questions and see, I mean, I don't want to spend more money thinking it'll be the better. You know?
Exactly. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I guess that's kind of the question I have, is I'd like to know which one we really need to go with and do that, but
You could approve the money up to 15 and let him not spend
I think that'd be good. I'd like to.
They've got the money, they're well under it.
Absolutely, and I think that would be a better move. I would feel more comfortable in getting better quality, because as we know, we don't upgrade as often as we ought to, so.
And then maybe, you know, I see how these deals will come back, you know, next year in my budget, I've already applied for, you know, get a couple more. We don't go over abundance with them, but they are pretty nice to have.
Well, I'd like to move that we, make a motion that we move the 1,500, correct? I'm sorry, 15,000, I don't want to say, 15,000 from dispatch over to.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, move 15,000 from funds. Any further discussion?
Mike Campbell's not allowed to carry one.
Wow.
Brandon.
Are
you amending the motion?
I can do that.
Wow. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carries.
That's all from the finance committee.
Thank you. Mr. Baldwell, you have anything to turn fair?
No, sir.
Mr. Krager?
I already gave my report,
Ryan said no.
but we had a fantastic breakfast.
I know it was. I've still got it with me.
And my new belt.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, unless you got anything else other than the 2 ordinances and resolutions, you have anything else other than those 2?
That is all I have, Mayor.
We'll move into ordinance and resolutions then.
Okay. So,
Okay, we have discussed the ordinance of smoking in the parks, their committees, and I think we're probably long overdue on this ordinance. Patrick is here again tonight. Do you have anything else you want to say about this?
No, sir, unless it's y'all's pleasure, I'll talk about whatever you want. I think we've discussed it before. If anybody has any questions, I'll happily entertain it.
Move to approve by title only.
Well, we'll have to make a motion, put it on its first reading, and that being by title only.
Move to approve on its first reading by title only.
And I second it.
Have a motion and a second, put it on its first reading by title only. Any further discussion?
I wanted to point out that Parks and Rec meeting, in their Monday session, Mr. Hunter there, we went over this again and made them aware of the council's actions to be taken, and they approved with the unanimous resolution in support of the ordinance.
Okay, being it is an ordinance, we'll ask for roll call, please.
Brian Herring,
Yes.
Mary Jean Kruger,
Yes.
H. Magnus,
Yes.
Johnny Savage. Yes. Brian Oswald, Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Joe Williams,
Yes.
Dina Taylor?
Yes.
7 yes.
An ordinance prohibiting smoking and the use of tobacco products, including electronic cigarettes, in all city-owned or maintained city parks and sports facilities.
First reading passed, it's at your pleasure, suspend the rules. This time we put it on the second, third reading, but that is up to the council.
Do we need to?
Well, you don't have to, no. But like I say, that is at your own discretion.
My instinct is not to, for the simple reason is that
Law.
the public needs to know what's getting ready to happen, although we've met it, we've discussed it ad nauseum, I think twice, but now we have an official ordinance on the books. We can turn around and we meet in November because we don't be too far down the line, and we can do second, third, approve. But my feeling is let's let the public read about it in the paper, hear about it on the radio, get some input. I've heard some things about it, pros and cons. So,
And I concur. I think there's no need to invoke the emergency clause. I think it sometimes gets with the regular, but
sometimes we get too big a rush.
yeah, and there's no real rush to.
Okay, there being no further things on the smoking ordinance, we'll move on. And we have also in front of you a resolution certifying the general tax millage rate for the year 2016.
It is for 16.
It is for 16.
Coming year.
I got the wrong date on that. Mine anyway. Anyway, this is a housekeeping, more or less. Is it not?
It's the same as last year.
It is supposed to be 15, 16?
It needs to be 416.
Okay. Yeah, same as last year. We did not change any millage.
Millage doesn't change.
But this has to go to be recorded, and I think the warrant court has to approve this also within their meeting. I think December meeting, I'm not wrong on that. I think so. And so we need to get it over to them.
Make a motion to approve the resolution certifying general tax millage rates for the year 2016.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion on this resolution? That being said, all those in favor, by?
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Motion carries.
I got it. I'm going to put words on it. Okay. So I'll just edit it.
Okay, any old business? Okay, we'll move into new business, and that being our council meeting for the month of November. Unless y'all want to have it on Thanksgiving night, I would suggest we change it. And I think we've talked about it. More or less, you want to move it to the 19th?
Yep.
November.
Still at 6, right?
Do it 6.
I make a motion that we move our November meeting from the 26th to November 19th.
Second.
A motion and second. Any further discussion on this?
And they should work good.
And
Mary Jane, you
we
gonna
didn't
bring
change
it?
the committees, right? We're going to be back there.
We'll say, we'll be back
No,
to
not this time.
Okay. I thought I
Now,
tried.
if we were gonna have it on the 26th, Brian was gonna furnish supper for all of
Oh,
us.
okay.
PB&J and grilled cheese.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with it.
Okay, is that all the discussion we got on?
That's it.
That being said, all in favor, by?
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carried. We will have to discuss in that council meeting the December issue. Okay, move down into my comments, and I don't think Mr. Bell's here tonight, but from the CATPC, we have a reappointment that they had sent over to me, and Philip Wood's term is up, but they want to reappoint him, and that will be for a 4-year term ending in November of 2019. And I'll bring that has a motion to reappoint Philip Wood to
So
chair.
moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
He's been a big asset to the CTPC, so we're glad to have him back.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Mr. Wood is back. Okay, I'll open it up to comments first by Alderman, if they want to have any comments. Amen.
I'd just like to welcome all of our firemen and our Boy Scouts here and all of our guests.
Can you get up, tell us what troop you're with and,
You're the scoutmaster.
Say, I'm Todd Anderson, and I have boys with Troop 60. We're chartered from the First Presbyterian Church, and they're working on their communications merit badge, and we have some working on their citizenship in the community merit badge.
thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Okay, I'll open up for comments from anybody else in here. Oh, John, you got something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, step up there, young man.
Thank you, it hurts. Well, as you all know, my name is John Neal, and if I could, I'd like about two and a half minutes of your time. When I get to 2 minutes, you can point at me and 30 seconds. And Mr. Pratt, I don't want to hear that. They and Terry say hi. They just going to do a mission in Haiti.
2 minutes is up.
Yeah, he was at her, my sister wedding. Yes, I'm here tonight because I saw several comments in the paper that kind of bothered me a little bit. And I know that in the November meeting, you're going to get into what we have concerning pay raises for all the employees. And, you know, I think I just want to make a comment, something you already know, that your employees are all your most valuable resource. Without them, you have nothing. Budgets, anything else, you can have all that you want. Without them, you get nothing accomplished. And this includes all employees in the city. And this leads us to basically the 3% cost of living you spoke about. And there was even a comment if we gave it 3% that we might have to let people go. And to me, that's not really fair to the employees to give them even an option of that. You know, you can't scare them by doing that. It makes them feel bad. These are working people, and they live paycheck to paycheck in most cases, and it's a tough life, you know. Not everybody's retired and wealthy like you know. But at the same time, this brings me to another point concerning the public safety tax that was passed. And I feel very strongly, because there were some comments made in there, and I've seen the numbers on this, and that the intent of that tax was to make sure that we funded equipment, fire stations, and I know it takes time to build up, but at the same time, I believe that was, if I'm not misguided, that it was 30% of that was for equipment and such. That leaves an excess of about $400,000. Now, the fire department's been trying for years to get up to a standard, and we slowly got up and get the spacing and direction that we need to go. Our fire department is one of the best in the state. You know, I always said that, and I always believe that because of our training and our logistics that we plan to do and what our pride is. At the same time, you always want to make comparisons to other cities, but when we start making that, we find that their ISO rating, which saves a lot of money, we're at 3. A lot of those departments were 5s and 6s. Okay, Fayetteville is a 4. Okay, Fayetteville is a 4. Springdale is a 4. You know, and we're a 3. Now, you don't want to go any higher than that because we know this. Chief and I talked about this years ago. It doesn't do anything for you. You know, all you do is spend a lot of money just to say, hey, we're a 2 or a 1. That's not very good, and that's not realistic for the city of Harrison. But at the same time, this money that was allocated, that's the way it was presented to the public. I helped with that, and all the fire and police helped with that on phones and going around talking to people. And the bottom line is, they need to get their spacing corrected and their pay adjusted according to what they should be paid for those positions they have. There's a big difference between a battalion chief and a firefighter, but at the same time, there's a starting wage. You invest a lot of money on these within a year, within 5-year period, you're gonna spend $150,000 investment with one firefighter, with his equipment and his training, mandatory training. Without it, he can't be a firefighter in the state of Arkansas or any other state. National certifications. That's impossible. And what I want you to do, if you would, is look very hard at that and realize that you have to make adjustments with the money they have left over after the equipment. They can't go freelance, but I think they have a plan, and I've seen part of that plan. I don't fully understand it yet, but it's a step plan, and I think it's very logical and realistic, and I think that you all should take that in consideration and realize that all your fire and police, the money you save because the tax is putting there, you can spend that on the employees in public works and administrative services, and you can spend that money. You're saving money because the public's already dictated the fact that they're willing to support the fire and police departments and their wages and equipment budgets. And that's expensive, because I saw the cars for years. When fire trucks are built, it takes them 1.5 years to build one, so they have a plan to move forward with this, and I know they do. Barbara and I haven't talked extensively, but we have working together for 22 years. So that's really all I have to say, but I think you really need to take a hard look what the public expects out of that tax, and make sure you take care of your firefighters and police officers. And you have the money still there to take care of any employees in the city and bring them up to the grades they need to be brought up to. If you're a director of the water and sewer, I mean, you need to probably come up, but you need to make those comparisons also. But you have the extra money because you're not having to fund that with their wages. Thank you very much.
Any questions, John? Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the time.
Anybody? Yes, sir.
Mine is 2 minutes. Hi, I'm Ari Brett. I live on Inwood Drive, and I've been in this fair city now going close to 8 years. It took me a little longer to get here than it did some of you folks, but I finally found it. Quality of life here, I have to say, is a little better than where I left, a little city called Dallas. So it's, you guys are lucky to have been born here or raised here.
What state is that?
That is, I forgot.
Hey, ease up on Texas
A
now.
little south of here anyway.
Ease up now.
Blackland country, Arkansas backs into Texas.
There you go. A little over a year ago, I started hearing comments about the tax increase or a vote to increase sales taxes. And like most citizens, I was pretty skeptical of it and wasn't particularly going to look forward to it. Then I found out it was specifically dedicated to the police and fire department. And at that point in time, I thought I'd check into it a little bit more. So I had some conversations with our firemen and our policemen here to find out a little bit more about it. And I learned 2 things that kind of, I guess, startled me a little bit, is that our equipment in the city was not really where it ought to be for a city our size. That was lacking. And then the second thing I found is that our salary structure was below that of cities comparable size in our country, in our area up here. So at that point in time, I did something I'd never done in my life. I voted for a tax increase. And not only that, I went out and worked to support it. We had a call campaign and actually went out talking to people trying to get the tax increase. Now, I have read and understand that our city is structured differently. Our departments are structured differently. But I'll tell you this. When our policemen face an armed bad guy on the street, or our firemen go into a burning building, believe me, the jobs are remarkably similar. I don't care how they're structured in the organization. So what I would like to ask the committee today, or the group today, is to consider whether or not we want to accept the recommendation for the police chief and the fire chief for a 5% pay increase, or do we do something differently? And I think our firemen and our policemen deserve a salary structure that's commensurate with their peers in cities our size. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?